What's good, everyone? It's your boy Malik Washington, back at it again with another episode of the BMB. How you guys doing this fine day or evening, wherever you all reside? I hope that everything is okay with you all and that you're doing everything you can to strive for the greater things that life has to offer you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to go on ahead and dive right onto this topic because I think that it's something worth discussing after the last couple of videos that I did. The one that I did previous was like 44 damn minutes. And I definitely don't want to go that far again, as that video seems to be pretty long-winded, in my humble opinion. I could have edited it out, but right now I don't really have the resources that I would like in order to do that. But until I get back to that point to where I can purchase those things for my videos and things like that, right now it's going to be kind of cut and dry with a lot of this. It's going to be pretty unedited. I used to edit my videos out, but ever since my laptop broke down, I haven't been able to do it. I know you can do it over the phone, but I'm kind of superficial in that I like a bigger size, screen because there's more access. Obviously, the width is better, is better, and the length of the laptop is better as well. So I'm able to better operate on my editing my content using the phone. It's okay, but I much more prefer the bigger technological devices we have these days, like iPads and whatever company it is that you prefer, whether if it's Google or Apple. I don't know what you're into, but for me it's Apple more than anything. So as I've been using it as far as I can remember. So with that being said, that's the reason why a lot of my videos are kind of just like me, just completely with all the mistakes and no transitions, no video effects or anything like that. That's the reason why you haven't been seeing that as of late. And even then, I also have like background music and things like that, just to, cut the background silence and whatnot. Give the video a little bit of a vibe while I'm having a discussion with you. So create some sensationalism there. But hey, it is what it is. At the end of the day, this is not really about video effects and things like that. That's more so for the entertainment aspect of these videos. But I'm honestly here to just give you all perspective, give you all my views and takes on things, and hopefully you learn from it. Whether what you choose to do with the information is entirely up to you. I'm here to have a discussion and talk about things just like anyone else. And in fact, it's a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about in this particular video right here, which is concerning, should we talk about things we either cannot relate to or we're not born in? So I'll repeat that again. Should we talk about issues or things or people we either cannot relate to or we're not born in? So you might be saying to yourself, what is the context or what do you mean by this? As you all know, the past couple of videos I've done, it's been concerning this white YouTuber by the name of Just Pearly Things, who got a lot of heat because she said a few things on a podcast with a believed to be white supremacist as well as racist by the name of Nick Fuentes. Clearly, Nick Fuentes has a lot of controversial and extremist points of views that both the left and the right do not necessarily agree with, whether if they're black or white in difference. And with that being said, a lot of people have basically cut ties with Nick because of his viewpoints on things such as immigration, black people, quite a few other things, not to mention he's white and he's a MAGA Trump supporter, that sort of thing, right? And a lot of people had a problem with Pearl because they said that Pearl obviously shouldn't have interviewed this white supremacist. They thought it was kind of beneath her to do that because he's known all around the internet as being as such, and no one really wants to deal with him on that level because of the type of person that he is and because of how controversial his thoughts are. However, I think like most, if not all human beings, we want to know why someone thinks how they think. And clearly that is the reason why we interview them. As far as I recall, It's the First Amendment. It's freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom and the right of information. So when you have a guy like Nick Fuentes that comes along and he's this guy that clearly has all of these strange notions about life, about people, and about things, you dare to wonder as a content creator, as a business person, as someone who's in a particular agency, you want to know why this person is like this. So if you can get some type of interview or interaction with this person and have an interpersonal conversation, you're going to do that. And I think as a human being who believes in diversity of thought, who believes in trying to understand others and their differences of opinions, no matter what religion, creed, color, you name it, that they're in, it's important to know all facets of life, even from those who may hate you, even from those who are very controversial, even from those who are very extreme or radical. Why do you think this way? And that's not to say that you're going to do something to them because that's how they think. You can't do anything about it because it's not within your jurisdiction, neither your power to do so. But it is within your power to understand. It is within your power to agree or disagree. It is within your power to choose to either talk to them or not talk to them. And as far as I can recall, she's a grown woman, so she should be able to speak to whoever she pleases. But at the same time, I know we live in a society that's very mob culture-esque, to where we have a tendency to think that because we all agree on something, that that we now need to shun one or multiple people we don't necessarily agree with. We live in a society where we create these repercussions. If someone says something that we don't like, we need to cancel them. And sometimes we all even say things that the majority cannot like and also be a part of that minority of whom we say we need to cancel. Everyone needs to be canceled except the mob themselves. And that's the kind of culture we live in today. And because of this, she got a lot of flack for it. And as a result, she came out and she apologized. And she basically said that I didn't mean to say the things that I said. And she tried to provide context for it. And some people, of course, they didn't accept the apology. They thought it was bullshit. They thought she was making it up, or she was downplaying what she was saying in order to appease the audience. Well, it's like, again, going back to it, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You try to apologize, they're still going to say you're not apologetic. You don't apologize, they'll still say you're not apologetic. So it's like, why the fuck am I apologizing then? If you're not going to try to understand, you're just going to keep basically antagonizing me because I don't fit the description. And that's the bottom line. People like that, once again, you can't reason with. And so with that being said, it leads to constant kowtowing when you have to sit here and you keep apologizing because you know you didn't mean what you meant. And yet the mob wants you to say what they believe you meant so that it proves their point on their narrative and how they feel about the situation. But apparently now, if you do defend Pearly things, or if you have similar sentiments that she did about the video, or if you interpreted it differently, suddenly you're everything in the book but a child of God because you're not angry enough, or you don't care enough, or you're not black enough, which is a weird flex. You're not black enough because you think differently about certain aspects of slavery, or you agree with someone who has been entitled a white supremacist, but might actually have certain talking points that are relatively true based off of facts that have been brought out. And this is the whole thing, the meat to the sandwich, right? A person that thinks differently from you, especially if you want to say that they're hateful, extreme, and all of that, even they can be right twice a day. As we like to say with the old saying, a broken clock is right twice a day. You cannot be 100% wrong about everything that you say and do. There are people in this world, maybe even some of you watching this video, who have a tendency to disagree with people for the sake of disagreeing, and you don't disagree within reason. Everyone is not wrong about every single thing that they say. If a person is wrong 100% of the time and you think that that's the case, there's something wrong with you. Because there's no way in hell that you can look at somebody just because they look differently from you. Everything that comes out of their mouth is just lie after lie after lie after lie. There's no truth to what they're saying. Then your judgment is very skewed. And maybe you're the one that needs to be taken a look at, that needs a psych evaluation, because everybody cannot be wrong. I understand the guy might be a white supremacist. I definitely understand that. I get it. I understand he could also be racist. But let's be honest, people. Even racist people can be honest. Even racist people can tell the truth sometimes. Even people who lie can tell the truth sometimes. It's just hard to believe them, because especially if they have a rap sheet or a history of being compulsive liars, they're just lying for the sake of lying. The next time they tell the truth, they're not going to be believed. But they might still tell the truth depending on what it is. We're living in a society today where our current generation and those that are coming after minds can't seem to handle when someone thinks differently from them. And so what happens is, because someone doesn't think the way that we think, because someone doesn't have the same skin tone that we have, or because someone didn't grow up the way that we grew up, they can't speak on what it is that we're talking about. I beg to differ, right? I'm not a murderer. But if I've seen a body, or if I witnessed a crime firsthand happen right before my eyes, you mean to tell me I can't have an opinion about about murder, in spite of the fact that someone got murdered right before me? If I've seen it, I can see it. My skin color has nothing to do with it, but I can see the fact that someone did something wrong before my very eyes. I'm not supposed to have a judgment about it because of the color of my skin. I think that that's off. Everyone has differences of opinions about something, no matter where they come from and who they are. I went to a school called Christ the King. There was a school across from Christ the King called Michelle Clark. Now, the politics in Michelle Clark might be very well different from the politics that's in Christ the King. Nonetheless, they're both schools. Nonetheless, they both teach education. Nonetheless, they both have a curriculum that they have their students follow. It's just because I go to Christ the King and the students over there go to Michelle Clark, there's nothing that they go through I can't relate to, simply because they go to a school called Michelle Clark and I go to a school called CTK. I wouldn't know what it's like to be a student over there because I never went there. I disagree. If you tell me what you went through, if you tell me what transpired over there, the content of your life while attending that school, I'm pretty certain that since we both go to an institution that educates students, we're probably going to overlap on some things that we talk about. Now, perhaps I may not understand the politics because we might have completely different politics as far as being in two different schools, how things are ran, in other words. But I can understand that the school has a certain politics and that those politics shape how the students either act or behave while they're in the school, how it influences their behavior psychologically. With that being said, there are some things naturally, because we're not all the same, we're not going to always relate to. But that's the beauty of having disagreements, differences, nuances. When you don't all come from the same place, you all can help each other in different ways. That's the beauty of being human. That's also the beauty of being humans that like to socially interact with one another. It's a major requirement while we live that we cooperate and interact with one another, regardless of our cultures, regardless of our stances on life, you name it. because similarities, good grief, where we overlap and we can find common ground and we can help one another. Having those differences of opinions, having those differences of thoughts actually helps us to fortify our arguments. Even when we're having conversations, you find loopholes. And when those loopholes create flaws in arguments, it's for you to find a better angle at how you're defending the position, or like a human being, if your argument is very flawed and it's not making a lot of sense logically, you find a better argument. You find a different way of looking at things. You may have a different outlook of how you approach life. Anything could happen. And there's nothing wrong with that kind of change, because we're all trying to sharpen one another. As the scriptures would say, iron sharpens iron. So we are supposed to help one another sharpen each other's skills. But you can't do that if everyone thinks the same way that you do. I understand we want to be around like-minded people. We want to be around people that look like us. It's natural to do that. It's natural to want to listen to people that may look the same or may be akin to you. I get that. But that's not the society entirely for that. You live in a society where you will not only just deal with black people. You're not living in a society where you will only just deal with white people. You're going to be in a society where you're in a melting pot and you're dealing with a diverse group of people that are all integrated into one economic system. There's a reason why it's called the United States of America. This is a land of immigrants. Used to be native to indigenous tribes, but some no longer exist, while over 500 plus of them do. They've been federally recognized. But amongst those 500 federally recognized tribes, you got other predominant cultures that live here, such as white people, Hispanics. Then there are minority groups such as blacks and Asians, and anyone in between. So with that being said, we all are going to have different outlooks on life. Just because you're white, it doesn't mean you can't have a discussion or an opinion about issues that black groups are going through. And just because you're black, it doesn't mean you can't have discussions on the issues that white people are going through. Because what you come to find out, for the most part, a lot of problems that we go through in America are not even just merely racial. They're more so sociocultural. So when you think that a white person can't relate to you because you're black, that's not entirely true. A lot of them probably can. But because you're looking at things from a racial lens, you won't be able to see it. But because you keep looking at a white person as being white, you're going to think everything that they say to you is racist. And that's a bad mind frame to have, because that person could be trying to help you. But because you look at them differently, naturally, everything that they say to you is offensive. Naturally, everything they say to you is from a racist point of view, and they think that, and you think that they think that they're better than you. And it's just kind of funny. We're always trying to interpret what another race thinks when they tell you what they think personally. But then you say, no, that's not what you think. You think this. That's not what you think. You think that. Because in your mind, you keep concocting that that person is racist. So naturally, your mind is going to say, no, that person didn't mean that in that way. They meant it like this. So stop playing with me. Don't placate with me. Don't bullshit with me. That's the way a lot of us talk. And that kind of language is not helping anybody or anyone. Because we have to be in this living shit together. And it's not easy. If someone is willing to help you, let them help. Otherwise, you're going to be out here stuck in a ditch. And sometimes it's not going to always be by the people that look like you. It's going to be from people that don't look like you. You never know, people. But you block blessings from being poured into you because you don't allow people to be blessings to you. When you sit there and you constantly look for a reason to hate somebody, or for them thinking differently than you, you're not helping the situation. And that was a big thing. Some people kept saying, well, she's not black, so she can't talk about black issues. Okay, I'm not a doctor, but I know I can do research and I can look up certain medical terminologies in order to determine what's wrong with me. I don't need to know I don't need a doctor to know I have a cough or a cold. I don't need to be a OBGYN to know that a woman is pregnant and that she's going to have certain needs. A doctor would be great for expertise. I may not have all the knowledge about labor and pregnancies, but shit, I can learn. I may not be white, but I certainly know that white people are human. They have issues just like we do. I know white people are not black, but I know that they can see with their own eyes with a lot of the issues that are had in our communities. They live in the same country that we do. Why wouldn't they have an opinion about what's going on with us? Why wouldn't we have an opinion about them if they're doing shit that we know is wrong in essence? It's a weird flex to say that because a person is not black, they can't talk about black issues. Not that you're looking for white people to talk about black issues. You're just talking about what's right in front of you. I don't want to talk about shit for the sake of the fact that you're black. I don't give a shit about that. Or because you're white. You're a human being and there's a problem. That's the issue. Now, if you choose to want to look at it as I guess from a racial point of view, that's you. I'm just saying that there's a problem amongst this group and something needs to be resolved. That's the bottom line. Don't give a fuck if you're black or white. If you got a problem, you got a problem. That ain't got shit to do with your skin color. That's got something to do with you and what's going on in that noggin of yours. Nothing to do with the fact that you look a certain way. Nothing at all. But let some people tell it because you're of a different skin tone, you can't talk about something. I thought we had freedom of speech. Thought we could talk about anything. This is life. A boy hasn't become an adult, hasn't become a man yet. But I'm certain as he gets older, he's going to want to know, Dad, what does it mean to be a man? So the father can't talk to his son because he's no longer a boy? A mother can't talk to her daughter because she's no longer a girl? She's an adult woman now? And a white person can't talk to a black person because they're a different skin tone. When skin tones don't create problems, people do. People put social and political value on skin tone, not the color itself. So with that being said, we can't have a conversation. And because I look a certain way, we can't disagree. Cool. But I will say this. You can't make it through life viewing it that way. At least not in these times you can't. Because there are people out here that are willing to talk to you. There are people out here who are willing to understand. They may not necessarily agree with everything that you're talking about, but they're willing to listen if you let them actually listen and hear what the hell you're saying, and you allow them to disagree. Allow them to tell you where you're wrong, where they think that you're wrong, and you're entitled to what you believe. But at the end of the day, nothing can change people if you're not willing to try to have a conversation. But if skin color is the end all be all, no conversation can be had from that. The only thing that can be had from that is just pure division and hatred for one another. Because he's black and I'm white. Or he's white and I'm black. And he can never understand me because of my skin color. But you'd be surprised what could happen once you let go of the eyes of race and you just simply focus on the human. And that's on both sides. But if you choose not to, that's your prerogative. I'm only here to tell you that's just not the way to go about it. But that's my opinion. That's what I believe. But hey, We each all have our own way of looking at things. And hey, if that's how you want to look at it, fine. But life doesn't work that way. Only you make it that way. So I'll leave it right there. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Malik Washington. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day or good night wherever you reside. I thank you for listening if you got this far. Like, subscribe, comment below on what you think about this. Should we not talk to each other about different issues if we can't relate or if we're not born like those people? Let me know what you think. All right, people. Peace.